Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. I find it absolutely ridiculous that Ange Postecoglu could be the next manager to be sacked in the Premier League. I tell you what, football is all about opinion and we might all support different teams, but the way football is now, it's all consuming and different stories get written and momentum goes with it. Who will be the next manager to be sacked from the Premier League? We'll talk about that. Should it be Ange Postecoglu? Absolutely not, and I'll tell you why. And I'm sure you'll have your opinions, so get them in the comments below. Also, what do you think about the 7-match ban? It's Spurs in the news today. Bentancur has been banned for 7 games for comments he made about Son that were deemed to be racist. Obviously, I think all of us would agree that there has to be a punishment for that. But a lot of people talking about why didn't Enzo Fernandez get one for the song he was singing about Mbappe. But look, we'll talk about that in a bit. Let's talk about Ange Postecoglu. Let's talk about sacking managers because I think we all have a responsibility to have an opinion on this. If you're on That's Football, you're part of this community, you like football. Now that Amorim's come in and that Ipswich result for Spurs sort of got swallowed up a little bit, I think there will be a momentum around Spurs and what is to come. They've got Man City away, Fulham at home, Bournemouth away. If they lose 2 of those, you can see what happened with Ten Hag. The press needs somebody else to go for. They were sort of mumbling around Ange, and I think they will go there. But I find it absolutely incredible. You're always going to get fans from fan bases who, they're sensationalists. They believe it. They're ringing up. It's time to go, this, that, and the other. I find that incredible. Spurs is not my club, but I'm allowed an opinion. And I look at Spurs and you are what you are because you've been that for most of my life. All of my life. You're Spurs. It's Spursy. Losing to, battering Aston Villa 4-1 and then losing to Ipswich at home is Spursy. It's literally what you are. Last season, Ange Postecoglu fell out with you because he wanted you to beat Man City so you could get top 4. You wanted to lose so you could stop Arsenal winning the league. You can't start talking about the manager being the issue when you and your players were happy to down tools to stop Arsenal winning the league, but also stop yourself getting in the Champions League. That mentality was something Ange Postecoglu fought against. I found it incredible. A lot of people found it incredible. That's what's got to change at Spurs, not your manager. It's this whole Spursy mentality that actually, you can't complain about players that turn up one week and turn off the next. Like a bloody light switch. You don't know whether the light's on or not or off. That's Spurs. You've created this situation. You've got a manager that said, I win trophies in my second year. Probably got no chance because he's at Spurs. But you've got a manager that wants to win and you want to sack him and stick by players that are Spursy. You literally said to them last year, it's fine to down tools, lads. And that's a dangerous game. If you say to players, we don't mind you downing tools in that game, they're going to do it in other games. And they've been doing it for bloody years. Spurs' problem is not Ange Postecoglu. It's interesting, actually, when you look at the next manager to be sacked, because at the moment, Ange is 5th favourite. Russell Martin and Lopetegui are absolutely almost nailed on. Glasner's 3rd, Gary O'Neill's 4th, and then you've got Ange. But that could change very quickly based on their next 3 games. And I'm not going to sit here and say that he's going to beat Man City. I hope he does. Or he's going to beat Fulham and Bournemouth. I can see Spurs losing at least one of those. But even if they lost all 3, I wouldn't be sacking Ange. I genuinely wouldn't. You've got a manager that's got a style of play. There's half the Premier League that would love a style of play. People are saying he needs to change his style of play. Why does he need to change his style of play? Maybe the players need to change. There's nothing wrong with his style of play. Pep doesn't change it. Klopp didn't change it. Primarily, they stick to it. You want him to just go to playing a deeper line. It's all about the press. And when it works, it's really good. I know Bruno got sent off at Old Trafford, but I thought Spurs were brilliant before that. They were way better than us. So I think the problem with Spurs is he's been there just over a year. And he probably still needs to clear out a lot of that squad and change the mentality of a club that actually, even their own... I think Daniel Levy looks at the situation at Spurs and goes, we've got an amazing stadium that makes loads of money. We don't pay ridiculous wages. We don't pay ridiculous transfer fees. We're a really well-run business. I'm okay with this. I think the problem with Spurs is the lack of ambition to actually be what they could be. The reason loads of people don't mind Spurs is because they're inoffensive. They don't win trophies. So I think you've got a manager that actually wants to win things and a mentality that's sort of like, we're okay just fighting with 4th. What That's my point. What would sacking a manager be for? What's the next manager going to come in? The mentality of your club needs to change. If you want to bring a manager in that wins things, Mourinho wins things, that didn't work out. Ange wins things, that's not working out. If you want a manager that suits Spurs, go and get a guy that's happy for fifth. You know, happy for fifth, and the problem is not the manager for me. And it amazes me that there are Spurs fans out there, but the media are the main problem. They will go for him, and fans need to wake up for that. Ange Postecoglu will be the next target, because they'll look around and they'll go, we've got to give Amorim some time. Slot's doing well. Arteta's not really going anywhere really, but let's keep an eye on Arteta because Arsenal's always a good one. Pep's boring at Man City. Maresca's only just got there as well. Look at Spurs. Look at Ange. Also, he's got a bit of personality about him as well. That's what they'll do. They'll go for him, and then the media will manipulate those who are willing to be manipulated, and it'll all become about Ange out. And then what do you replace him with? I mean, I literally can't think of a manager that's going to come to Spurs and be like, I can do a better job. I really, really don't. Spurs should be doing better. They should be more consistent, but this was happening. This has always happened at Spurs. It's inconsistent. It's not the manager for me. Get your comments in. Who do you think will be the next manager who gets sacked, by the way? I think Lopetegui. I think he will go next. I haven't looked at West Ham's next 3 fixtures, but that's going to be my guess on that one. Just while I'm looking at that, the Bentancur 7-match ban is for comments he made about Son, which I'm not going to repeat, but they were stereotypical racism, casual racism, whatever you want to call it. So there has to be a punishment for that, of course. I think he's apologised to the player. I don't know what Son's reaction to it was at all, but look, with very little facts and just with what's been presented, I don't think people can really have an issue with it. Whether it should be 7 matches or not, I don't know. I mean, I go back to Cavani at Man United. I think he got a 3-match ban for an Instagram post. But a lot of people are talking about what Enzo Fernandez was singing about Mbappe on that bus, where there were other Argentinian players, but Enzo Fernandez was the guy doing it. Nothing done by the Premier League. I think because Bentancur's not banned from the Europa League. He can play in the Europa League, he can't play in the Premier League. So I would imagine that because this was media duties after a Premier League game, the Premier League are saying, well, this is our jurisdiction, so we're going to act upon it. Whereas Argentina, that's FIFA, so maybe the Premier League are just saying, well, that's not to do with us. But inconsistency is always the problem, isn't it, in football? We get it in VAR, and then you get it on very things like this. But look, fundamentally, nobody can complain about Bentancur getting a ban for that. Whether it was said in whatever context, you know, you've got to send the right message there. Is 7 games a lot? It depends, really. It depends on, you know, some people will say it's too lenient. Some people will say it's too harsh. Get your comments in. What are your thoughts? West Ham's next 3 games are, they play Newcastle away on Monday night. You don't win there. Then they've got Arsenal at home. And then they've got Leicester away. So, I mean, yeah, I definitely think Lopetegui. I can't look away from that. I mean, Southampton sacking their manager, I can understand it, but yeah, I think Lopetegui for me. Anyway, get your comments in. What are your thoughts on the Bentancur ban? What are your thoughts on the next manager to be sacked? And are you in agreement with me about Ange? I think his identity and style of play is fine. It's the club that needs to change. I think he wants to win things. It's the club that needs to change. And if you did sack Ange, where do you go next? Thanks everyone for watching. Get your comments in. Smash a like on the video. I'll speak to you on the next one.